Well, bore da, it's Wednesday and we're halfway through our working week. And as I said, this week I'm sharing with you some of the gospel hymns that I remember being sung on a Sunday evening gospel service when I was a young Christian. And the hymn that I have for you this morning is hymn number 310 in the Redemption hymnal, Almost Persuaded Now to Believe. This is one of Philip Paul Bliss's hymns, or B.P.P. Bliss, as he is known. Bliss left home as a young boy to make his living by working on farms and in lumber camps. All this he did while continuing his schooling. He was converted at a revival meeting at the age of 12. Bliss became an itinerant music teacher, making house calls on horseback. And during the winter and during the summer, of course, he attended Normal Academy Music School in New York or outside New York. His first song was published in 1864. And in 1868, D.L. Moody, the great evangelist, advised him to become a singing evangelist. As a young convert, I found this hymn of his one of the most sobering gospel songs of all. As Bliss brings his hymn to a close on that last and final verse, saying, "Almost persuaded, harvest is past. Almost persuaded, doom comes at last. Almost cannot avail, almost is but to fail. Sad, sad the bitter wail, almost but lost." That last verse always used to send shivers down my spine, as I knew so many people that were on the brink of believing but never made that final step. They were what I would call almost people. However, Bliss says, almost but lost. Bliss bases his hymn on the account of Paul before King Agrippa, as recorded by Dr. Luke in Acts 26. Here we find the Apostle Paul being brought before the king by Festus the governor, who said to the king, "The whole Jewish community has petitioned me about him, both here and in Jerusalem, crying out that he ought not to live any longer." Paul, in quite detail, shares the testimony of his conversion with King Agrippa. And after listening to Paul's wonderful testimony, the king turns to Paul and says in verse 28, and I'm quoting it from the Authorized King James translation, "Almost thou persuadest me to become a Christian." Hence, Bliss pens the word almost persuaded now to believe, almost persuaded Christ to receive. Seems now some soul to say, "Go, Spirit, go thy way, some more convenient day on thee I'll call." This verse sums up the attitude that so many have towards the gospel after hearing its message. Some more convenient day on thee I'll call. People have their varied excuses as to why they want to put the decision off. Too young, too busy, my career won't fit in with my faith, I won't be able to keep it up, I'll have to give up so many pleasures of sin, and so on. Sometimes we forget that we don't own our next breath. The preacher in Ecclesiastes instructs us not to boast of tomorrow, because we don't know what a day may bring our way. So many people have come so near and yet so far. What about you this morning? Have you placed your faith and trust in Christ for salvation? Or do you say with the words of the hymn, some more convenient day on thee I'll call? Let me close with the words again of Bliss in that last verse. Almost persuaded, harvest is past. Almost persuaded, doom comes at last. Almost cannot avail, almost is but to fail. Sad, sad the bitter wail. Almost, but lost. Don't delay. Let today be the day. I leave you this morning with an instrumental piece of music for this old classic hymn. God bless you. Call on him today, because almost is lost.